Hello 9Y4, I'm back again. Okay, so we've had a quick recap on dividing by 10 and dividing by 100 because these are really important skills to help us with percentages. So now we're going to get on with our percentages work, and we're going to be working on this over the next few lessons. So how would I work out 50% of something? Well, 50%, we should see, if we're looking at 100% being the whole, we should be seeing that 50% is going to be half of that. So if it's half of it, we would be dividing it by 2. Okay, so if I said to you, let's think about 40, what's 50% of 40? Well, the whole thing has to add up to 40, so each part would be 20. So 50% would equal 20. Okay, let's rub those out. So what about 10%? Well, this is why we had that recap on our place value. Now we know that 10% goes into 100 10 times. So if I needed to find 10%, I just need one of these. I need to divide it by 10. Okay, so if we go back to that example of 40, if I was to divide that by 10, each of these would be worth 4. And it would be 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. So 25%. Well, how many times does 25% go into the 100%? Well, it's 4 times. So therefore, if we were asked for 25%, we could just divide by 4. So going back to my example of 40, if I divided that by 4, each part would be worth 10. Oh, that's really rubbish. 10. Let's write that again. There we go, 10. So each of these would be worth 10, so it would be 10, 20, 30, 40. Now, what about 5%? Now, we've got 2 ways that we can look at this. Now, we could say that we could work out 10%. And then if we've worked out 10%, we could halve it to get 5%. Because we know that 5% is half of 10%. So if we knew that that was 4, we know then that 5% would be 2. But because we're dividing by 10 and then divided by 2, we could also, the diagrams are not coming up. We could also say that we could divide that by 20. Okay. Now this last one, 1%. Now to get 1%, how many times does 1%, or does 1 go into 100? Well, we know it goes in 100 times. So therefore, we would have to divide it by 100 to find 1%. So looking at our example of 40, if we divided it by 100, it would be, each part would be 0.4. We would have 100 of those, and that would take us back to our 40. Okay, so what I would like you to do now is have a look at these questions. I want you to have a go at them and pause in the video. And then I want you to come back and check your answers with me on here, because then that will make sure that we're understanding what it is you need to do before you go back to the quiz. So pause the video and I'll see you back in 5 minutes. Okay, so you should have paused the video and you should have had a go at these. So what would 50% of 200 be? Well, we know that 50% was half. So 50% of 200, that's half of 200. So it should have been 100. What is 10% of 200? Well, looking back up here, we're looking at 10%. We know that's dividing it by 10. So 200 divided by 10 would have given me 20. Now, what about 1%? What did we need to divide by to find 1%? We know that 100 is made up of 100 ones. So we would need to divide it by 100. So if we're dividing this by 100, we would get 2. Okay, now here's that 5% one. Now remember what we said about using our 10% figure for this. If I know 10% is 20, 5% is half of that. So it would be 10. Okay, right, the last one, 25% of 200. So what did I need to do to find 25%? Yeah, I needed to split it into 4 parts. So that would have been 50 for each part. Okay. If you got those all right, that's fantastic. You can go back to the quiz and fill in the questions. If you didn't get those all right, I'd like you just to watch the video again, just to develop that understanding before moving on. Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the quiz and I'll talk to you later.